Editions. For the past 16 years, she has been active editorial team of the NRC Institution in Bangalore, where she looks after content and other related activities. Her work involves creating content for people, writing reports, covering events, planning guest sessions, holding training sessions, and mentoring students. She has a keen interest in the environment and wildlife issues. She occasionally does quality in these. A warm welcome to you, ma'am. Thank you. I would like to express my gratitude to our traders from Srinivasan, true visionary. Believes that the gossiping seeds for homosexuals should be sown into every child for equipment for the flora opportunities that comes his way when his commandment and power rights. Also, I would like to extend our warm welcome to dear Savannah, who needs no superintendent in making us all to come up with our best efforts in realizing full potential. Thank you so much. I have given inspiring respect to this life. As a perfectionist, has an constant provides to life with an empirical level for an environmental flourishing. I would also like to take this opportunity to introduce the winners of the previous years who made such a story with their outstanding performances at the event. One of two here. I invite Rashtra Kumar, Arushi Kundar, Priya Reddy, Sai Nishwa, and Neha Sanjay. All thank you. Please.
Bye.
Hi everyone, Namaste. I'm Anjana Shriya. I'm currently a professor here at Ashoka University in Delhi. I'm majoring in psychology and I'm minoring in creative writing. I'm extremely happy to be here and be a part of this panel and have a good discussion with everybody who was selected this year to be a part of this. Thank you, Srinivasan. So thanks, Alina. My name is Srinivasan. I'm a grade 12 student at here. And this panel discussion has been something dear to me for quite a few years. And I've always looked up to the participants and the previous year winners. So it's an extreme honor to be among them this year. And I'm looking forward to taking part in today's panel discussion and hearing the views of all the participants. I'd like to wish all the participants good luck. And thank you very much, Department Sir Savina, for giving me this opportunity. Namaste everyone, my name is Anusha. I just graduated with your lessons, so I think in psychology in my undergrad. And I also really learned this panel since it's very considered conception. So I was really familiar with it and I'm really participants so happy to be connected. And it's so exciting to panel. I wish I could have enjoyed it. My name is Riya. I'm also currently a recent graduate from URA. I'm very excited to be here and watch everyone speak. I am recently got a mission in the US and I'm going to be studying neuroscience with medicine. So I'm very good for that. It's really a joy to talk with you here. Is there for last year's panel discussion And people just get better and better every time. It's amazing. It really is. So thank you so much, ma'am, for inviting me, and I was so excited. Namaste everyone. I'm Hina. I even have this certificate here. I'll be going to the national design next year. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. But I think this is such a great platform that peer-based experience. It's so many dynamics things to be able to express themselves. And you know, questions asked of this panel are so unique. So yeah, I think this is a wonderful opportunity. I'm so grateful to be here.
Now, the most debated moment of the day has finally arrived. So let's therefore repeat the names of our finalists. Give us 100 players, for 8, top 8 finalists. Ashley Ram, Yana Sanjana Shankar, Sampurna Krishna, Arif Majidkar, and Shri Tibu. Thank you.
Namaste, one and all present. My name is Sanjana Shankar. I'm a student at Bangalore. Words have always been important. They are powerful, poignant, and can truly change the course of anyone's. With this love for words, I had a foundation. What I needed was the next step. Enter here. Here provided me with a holistic environment that encouraged me to pursue my passion and truly guided me in the right direction. From creative English to spell to script writing opportunities. Here molded me into the person I am here. I am honored and grateful to say that my works have been published in several esteemed publications, Pearson, Scholastic, URA, and more on the way. I am eternally grateful to here, my second home, to Chairman Sir, Saki Ma'am, Nandini Ma'am, and all the teachers that have guided me along the way. Sangeeta Ma'am, thank you for making me the person I am here, standing here before you. And I am truly looking forward to the journey. Thank you. Namaste everyone. My name is Devka. I'm very nice. I feel extremely honored and grateful to be part of this panel. I love writing words, fantasies, and different stories because they allow me to explore unknown levels, using my creativity and imagination to create characters, situations, and sometimes whole new worlds. Another thing I love about writing is that there is no right or wrong. All my life, certain questions the right answer or a wrong answer. But there is no such thing in because it's a way of self-expression. It's outlet
We always together for that. I feel extremely lucky to be surrounded by these panelists today, who are just as passionate as I am, and I wish them all the very best. Namaste all. My name is Avisha Mukherjee and I'm studying in grade 9. By personality, I tend to be rather inquisitive and observant in nature. Luckily, I have had the chance to travel within India and outside, which has allowed me to experience various melting pots of culture, customs, and art. I usually observe these things and write down my thoughts, which I reflect on later and then refine further to share with the world. This is my approach to the life. Thank you. Namaste, my name is Ashi. I study in grade 10. If you ask me who I spent the most time with, I'd probably say books because they help me gain a different perspective in terms of empathizing with different characters and people. And I try bringing that out in my writing as much as I can. My writing evolves with time, but also listening to other people and their journeys is something that helps me grow as a person and as a writer. So I'm extremely grateful to be part of this panel discussion, and I hope we do something great at what I'm doing. Thank you. Namaste, my name is Yana Sharma. I'm from class 10. I began writing.
There's a different side of them because they have not yet realized. I write because I want to get away from reality and put it into imagination, creativity, and they basically twist life into more fictional and more happy way. So, yeah. Thank you, Yana.
Namaste, my name is Santrupti Krishna and I'm currently in the 11th grade. And to me, writing is an outlet. So my words are very raw and I like to keep my words as close to my natural thought process as possible. And being in this environment for most of my life, I'm very grateful to have people who welcome my haphazard thoughts with open arms and they allow my words and my thoughts to grow day by day. And I'm very grateful to be here on this stage. Thank you so much.
Namaste, my name is Santrupti Rajankar, and writing is something that I'm very new to because I only started writing within the past 3 4 months. And I found it really helped me get my emotions out and clear my head with all the thoughts I've had, especially because throughout the 2 years of the pandemic, it really jumbled your mind up. And then after that, as it got over, I managed to express myself writing just simple things that really helped. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to learn a lot from all the other panelists. I'm sure they all have their own different writing styles and their ideas and thoughts, and it'll be great to learn from all of them.
Thank you, Arya. And
Like Sampurna said, writing is an outlet for me as well. As someone who feels emotions very deeply, I feel putting things to pen and paper helps me reflect on my own feelings. And sometimes it's better to not bottle up your feelings, and it's much easier to write them to process them on paper. I'm very grateful to be here in this moment today, and I hope that this is a great learning experience for all of us.
all extremely interesting panel discussion forward, where subject matter experts get together, share their thoughts and perception. Panelists present information on their own experience, offer viewpoints, and respond to questions from Sir and the judges. I invite Dr. Srinivasan as chief guest, Ms. Santrupti, to come on the stage and join the panel. I
Namaste, all of you. Need to have a gathering when we are expecting some balance to manifest an interest. Am I right? Yeah, the people of food themselves. Welcome back, I can address all of you. Very nice to see you all. Think on student breath to achieve it. Yeah? How many of your heart people? Really? That means you're ready to write. Okay. I'm sure you all know this line from a poem. I think of beauty is joy forever. we can substitute any word for beauty. Okay? A thing of intelligence is enjoyable. A thing of achievement is enjoyable. But actually, if you analyze the meaning of this line, you write getting. The same poet has also said two more lines, and that's also about beauty. You may wonder why I'm talking about beauty, because we are going to portray the beauty of their mind and thinking to you in terms of words. Okay? The same poet said, beauty is truth. Truth, beauty. That's all you know and you need to know. You can keep thinking, why the word beauty is emphasized so much? That's mainly because when anything original comes out, it will have its own beauty. And that's what we are waiting to see from these 8 participants. Okay? I'm very grateful to Santrupti ma'am because she's taken her time out and come early in the morning, be with you and with us, and help us locate talents. A word of caution, all the 8 of you are talented. All the 8 of you may not be nominated for this award, but that should not be anything that bothers you. Do your best, be natural, and then whatever you decide, it's fine. Okay? Alright. Now, may I start the first round? Okay. My first round would be actually one piece of their own poem or a paragraph. Would you like that to be done first? Then we'll start the discussion. Okay. You're all okay with that? Who would like to go first? Okay. Oh, then you okay. I'm sorry. I said only people on my left. Right.
Namaste. My piece is a flash fiction piece called Constellation.
When I was young, my mother used to the stars. Be good, because the stars are watching. In her words, stars were the hundreds and thousands of souls that came before them. Mothers and brothers, sons and daughters, immortalized by glowing specks the night sky. We are all children of the stars. I would often clean my iPads with the night sky and see generations and generations of people that lived and died so I could sit here, gazing up at constellations like soft beckons and uncanny. It was wonderful and terrifying, only neatly witnessing the enormity of it all. The stars I had come to stand, and hundreds of students become them. In 6th grade, I learned what stars truly were, like fire doors, or burn the skin off the pyramid to go to the rose. And still I had love of it, dying, or growing tired with every second of the day. There are hundreds and thousands of kilometers between us, but distance is no match for them, nor for love. Now the stars have been my constant companions through the storms of summer days. Sweet dark like molasses, dancing on the edge of the streets. Twinkling gently, they remind me of the invisible fact that no matter how quickly the world turns, how loves are lost, deaths are found, how many lilies are and flowers grow, then there will always be stars in the sky. And perhaps one day I will join them. I take comfort in knowing that always constellations are watching.
Listen to candidate. You have a little description. Then you go to more. Otherwise, before you listen all the way. Okay? So like
So I'm not going to take a story that I'm writing. I have the poems that I write. And this particular poem is about what goes through my mind as I write it. It's titled in the beginning. There's something delicious about first words getting something exciting in lives when there's no end in sight. Take this here poem. I'm making up as I go. Will it blossom or shrivel? Such a fate I do not know. Yet I continue to write with the electricity that flows from my brain and through my hands, but at this time it slows. What should I write next? What will make an impact, I ask. At this moment, making sense seems a Herculean task. I have got to convince them, I think, about how hopeful these first words make me. They create energy and offer service. That is the poet's guarantee. A beginning of something new, a chance to escape the now, a place where no one sees and no one hears, a space where one can allow all their hurt and all their money to pass through a healing medium, yes, the art that stems through pain, that makes the weight on the shoulders less. And now this last paragraph is what the entire poem has been leading up to. The opposite of the start, but more to me, a safe outlet that makes me emerge clean.
follow one more. Give chance to respond. Top to bottom, that is from grade 12 to grade 9. Okay. Now, I'm sure all of us have particular strength, which is very, very influential in your thought, and that's what is going to make your future all. I don't know how many of you know, but for signature strength, what the psychologists call it. I think it's a good one to remember that your signature releases your identity. That is unique, and that way strength is also unique. You work around that, I'm sure will be very high. So I'd like to know the signature strength of each one in terms of your writing, thinking, and your language. And combine the three, talk about each one, make it click and sharp. Who like it go? Out of 12, 2 of you are there.
So one of the things that I try to like keep an eye on when I'm writing is the way it looks, like where I want my line breaks and how long I want certain words to be. So there might be times when I might replace a particular word with a sentence just because of the length of the word, so that it may like place the end of the sentence at a certain point, and I can sort of give a visual feel before the person who reads it, they get some sort of sense of like the length of it and certain. Not really sure what I'm trying to give, but it just makes it feel better, looks better to me, and I try to make certain changes based on that. And I feel like that is something that I put a lot of thought into. And even before I start writing, I think of this particular piece, what is the sort of style I want? Do I want to have certain words within how long do I want words to be? Do I want to see simple vocabulary and that sort of thing? Thank you, Arav. Yeah.
I think that my signature strength has evolved throughout the years, as has my writing. When I was younger, what I used to write, I mean, looking back at it now, I feel wasn't as authentic because I was writing the feelings of what I thought other people would feel. So as I grew older and the more I felt and the more I experienced, I could write more truthfully and more authentically. And yeah, there's just more truth to my words now compared to when I was younger.
Okay, now come to the 11th standard.
So speaking about signature style, my thought process wise, I'd say that only one word comes to mind, and that is the word raw. Whatever I think, I would like to put into words exactly what I feel, whether it makes sense to the person who is reading it or not, because I write for myself to express myself. And in terms of my signature writing style in the poem itself, I would say that the thing that sparkles is the sense of melancholy. So, whether I try to write a happy poem or a sad poem, I always have the underlying sense of, and I think that would be my signature. It's a definite one.
Okay. I think it's a little early to keep the calling.
In fact, I was going to say that it seemed like it was bogged down like it was baby. It seemed very up. So why do you think that it takes such a part of your life?
So, as I said, writing is an outlet for me, which is basically not just letting out my happy moments, but also the, I say, the stress that I feel. So, whenever I feel stressed out, I really want to say. And it's that predominant emotion that is when I write. My writing is different from the start of that project. My writing is that I have written money.
Yourself?
I see myself as a mind version of myself. My writing rather than the person that I present as.
Wonderful to Sapurna, but I really don't like one word. That is stress, not accurate. The world is not looking at your friend, we are not that we need to friend. Enjoy your life. Including very things are much impossible. Just go through it. Don't feel the stress because the stress will start increasing as you grow. So don't start it very early, and this is not your time to feel stress, except if it is a positive stress. Okay?
Thank you, sir. The question that you asked is very interesting to me because the first thing that came to mind for my signature secret was emotion. Personally, I believe that a good piece of art makes you feel. It doesn't really matter what it makes you feel, as much as the fact that you feel something when you feel it. So, growing up, this is a bit embarrassing to say, but I was always ruled by my emotions. I was never very good at regulating them. So, the smallest thing could make me burst into tears or become extremely exuberant. I think somehow along the way I had harnessed that need to emote and somehow put it into words on a page. And now that those words are not confined to my stray poetry notebooks, and I have received feedback from them, from poets, from writers, from peers as well, I found that they also have the same effect on me that they have on other people. They can elicit those emotions that flow through me, and that message that I'm trying to spread can flow through other people as well. It affects them in a way that I never thought my own words would do. So definitely, I think my signature secret would be emotions, and I'm still trying to define and understand what emotions exactly.
Thank you.
We like to say that it's something I got to think you're now trying to take so do that. Why do you feel the need to do that? I need to do that, especially at the stage that you are in. Let it go. And it's wonderful that you are writing. I mean, writing. Emotion play a very large part of writing. There's no writing.
Okay, no writing. So I put anything. It's for all of you. So we're saying, don't get stressed, let it go, or This is not age for you to be there. They have placed all that you know. Since I'm used to the flow, there are writers who say they start writing and they let it flow. And the piece turns out to be entirely different from what they had seen. And I think that teaches us way. Okay? Because you go to pen.
Okay, so I think that my signature, my signature would be that I put myself in other positions. I feel like if I portray what I feel to the audience who's reading my piece, they will feel pleased. They'll feel like they're not only considered. That motivates other than more people than other people.
Okay. Therefore, the technique is get into the other school. It may give you a better insight into the situation. Like I said, you can the answer are two people first. Like that, you also can be into the life of the other person. They say these actors, when they become the person they are acting, they are able to do a wonderful job. If they keep thinking they are a great actor or actress, they will do a better job, they don't. And to this extent, people go that they become that person for fun. And they behave like that person for fun. Because the soul and heart that also has to go with interaction. The same way, you write it out, that's the same principle. That's all.
I just like to ask you a question. You earlier said that you write to inspire others. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So what inspires you instead?
There is a special beauty moments from the life. We can't really escape. And other people go through it as well. But we're very good to create and control it. So how I explain it wonderful. So I find words that explain it. The other people can relate to it. They kind of understand what feelings in a more correct way.
And that inspires you to try.
So I think I would write a lot to the personal experience. And I like going to hide the emotion of every little thing that happens in my career. So that would have to I think that on how I was living and how that inspired me, right? And also when I see another person when I'm doing it, and I like looking at what put them into the place they are right now. And I like imagining what their story is. And that's what inspires me. And I think the main thing I inspired my life is imagination and emotion.
So earlier we were asked to present our best work, but as I already mentioned in my introduction, I jot down what I experience in life. So to me, all my work has the same meaning, so I can't just choose one. So after I chose travel diary of mine about Abu Simbel in Egypt. It's an ancient temple which basically carries a lot of geometrical and mathematical significance. People may say it's religiously significant, but to me, I generally can't help but notice the teamwork and the different kind of skill sets they're translating into creating a project that basically stands the test of time, that like inspires other people, coming generations, and leaves a footprint behind of it. And that's exactly how my writing has evolved over the years. At the start, I used to write about fantasy, creatures, magical, mythical creatures. But nowadays, I write about my travel experiences, my experiences in life, which I fine tune and then put out into the world for other people to see. To see them posted, like incorporate them into my writing, and then enhance myself and basically improve on my skills so that in the future I could do more with it.
You use the word evolve. You notice how we evolve?
I think it was the exposure to the environment I had. From in sixth grade, I didn't remember here, I before I entered over here. So that was a major change from like where my hometown was to here. So over here, I was exposed to many environments which basically helped me develop who I am today. As a person, instead of looking at travel as a leisure, I look at it as a way to inspire me and put my work into the world. I think it's very mainstream that authors get their inspiration from reading books, but I generally think my photographic memory, I can share it with the world through the words I basically jot that in black and white so that I can share it with other people and people can share it with me as well. So that for me, I communicate with my loved ones.
Okay.
So I think my signature style in my thought process is that when I'm writing a story in a poem, I have a base idea, and then I immediately take up the end. So now I have the ending vision as well, what I want my end goal to be. I start building on my base idea. I add depth, I add character, I have various layers, I add various situations which slowly build up to the climax. And then from the climax, I slowly note it down, I spiral it down back to the end goal. And if I want to make any, I tweak and I focus the end goal. And I think that's my special signature style thought process.
Okay.
What is the basic emotion that goes on, when you write?
So when I first write, I feel basically very sure of what I'm going to write. I'm going to write a base idea and an end goal. But then as I'm writing the story, as I'm building layering characters, I feel very intrigued as to what I'm going to write next. I think more, and then once I come to the climax, I have a base vision or idea how it's going to come downwards or spiral downwards.
Okay, you can listen to two more children and the man will give you some food to talk about. Will be the two more to read your piece. You can read, please go ahead. Anna, yeah.
I had written a story, a fiction story based on a question given in the URA, the third round. And I am pretty proud of this story, but it's long, so I'm just going to give a brief and moral of what it is. So basically, it's an ancient book of prophecies that was found in the ancient ruins of a civilization. It's a story about how a book was discovered in 2320, the future, which was written in the language Hindi, a long forgotten language. The discovery was made by a very self-reliable and very serious about withdrawn girl, who was a scientist. People say that you can do limitless things or you can do anything, but a few people take it way too seriously, affecting their mental health and they start to doubt themselves. This is a small sarcastic fictional story about when the girl is forced up to take a huge responsibility with great consequences. And a colleague makes her understand that sometimes you're not necessarily needed to break through a barrier of which you can just go along. Yeah, sometimes letting go of your responsibilities isn't you being a failure. It is you being courageous and accepting the fact that you're a human with wide range of capabilities, but sometimes you just don't fit in there and you are human. So, Why So Blue is a piece I wrote about watercolor blue means to me. Blue reminds me of a gentle, patient stream of water, but it also reminds me of sadness. Blue is the spark in a child's hopeful eyes. Blue is the tinted teardrop rolling down a teenager's cheek. Blue is in my eye as I helplessly watch the world crumble. Blue is on my mind when I spill again for the millionth last time. Blue is soaked in my fingertips as I cling to my past, nails bleeding. Blue follows my footprints as I aimlessly wander. And blue is in my heart as I wait for my eternal miracle, but it's never showtime. Blue can be the relief side when you look at the bright sky, and it can be the suffocating feelings you wear on your chest
tomorrow after yesterday, day after day. Blue alone is a myriad of colors, manifesting in a fleeting memory, and it deserves its own rainbow, because blue is never enough.
Okay. Since we talked about blue, I'd like to request an author who wrote a book on blue and see what she thinks about blue now.
Thank you so much for that introduction. So just for a little bit of context, when I was in here, with the help of a professor, a teacher who is still working here, Mr. Adrian Canada, he helped me discover my passion for writing, and he guided me through a pretty elaborate and also pretty meaningful, deeply meaningful work for me, and he helped me get it published. The book I wrote is a piece of poetry and prose. It is called Even the Skies Are Blue, and it was a story that aimed to portray how most of us, given the chaos of the world, there's a little bit of blue in us. We take it everywhere we go. There's a little bit of
Una mentioned, and it's about how this blue that we have in us isn't inherently, it's not a downforce, it is not something that aims to bring us down, but rather it is something that works with you as you aim to grow, as you aim to fight your battles, and especially fight your inner demons, any sort of mental health related demons and battles that you may be fighting, and overcome it. And to answer your question about how I feel about blue, I was just thinking as she was reading her piece out, is that I've realized more and more that this blue that we take with us is not as sad or melancholic as I once thought that it would be. I think there is a lot of blue in the world, the sky, the sea, and these things make me feel far more happy, exuberant, and peaceful than they do some other blues which may make me feel, well, blue. And I think that in the years that I've published the book and the more that I've grown with it, the more I realize that the blue that we carry with us is more of a life force. It pushes us to do things, it pushes us to be a better version of ourselves, and I'm quite glad that I've come to that realization. So,
Okay, before I get to that, I must say I really like the fact that you mentioned that, the colors that we can get, like life force, that we can dip into. And I think taking from that, I'd like to also talk about, if I were to say that colors and the meanings that we attribute to the colors are not the same for everybody, right? So what would be the one color that you would hold on to and consider a strength or consider something that gives you power and energy?
We'll go straight. Straight up.
So when Mom talked about colors, the first color which actually popped into my mind was black. Um, I know black appears to some people as a very strong, a very dark color, which carries a lot of dark themes probably. But to me, it's a symbol of power, strength, fighting through basically anything you can. To me, it actually empowers me, and it's a color that I can pull off anytime. Be it maybe outfit I wear, be it color I go with in a project. I think it's a color I usually go into because I've always been comfortable with it. From when I was childhood, I think I was always gravitating towards it because when I used to shade, most of my space used to be covered in black colors rather than negative space. So I think black was my color, yeah. So I think my color would be blue. Because blue, for me, whenever I think of blue, I think of the sky or I think of the ocean. Because in the ocean, it's full of life, and that gives me energy. And when I think of the sky, I think of clouds, and I think of floating on the clouds, and that gives me inspiration and energy, and it shows me that blue is actually a very strong color, and it encourages me to keep going on. And at the same time, I think blue can also show sadness. So I use it to express whenever I'm sad, as well as express whenever I'm happy. So blue is a very versatile color. It can be used for many emotions, and I think that's why I picked it. So green, my color, my always motivation color is green. It's soothing, it's relaxing. Of course, it is a representation of nature, and it helps me even think in writing and making words, coming up with perfectly precise meaning words. But then again, green is also a symbol for disgust. It has its negative drawbacks. So whenever, whatever mood I am in, green always plays along with my mood and helps me think more. Yeah. So my color would probably be blue, because I think I'm a water person, and all my childhood memories are associated with either a swimming pool or water. And every time I go swimming, it relaxes me, and I feel this sudden surge of energy, which I didn't have before. And I think it also relaxes all my concerns and whatever I have. So I think blue would be my positive, but also a negative color.
So this is a little bit of a tricky question for me because you said that each color is perceived differently by a different person, and I've noticed about myself that I perceive that I am the person who perceives each color differently. As in, if orange is for hungry, orange is it's not a color that I would link with the word hungry. It's a color I would link with something else. But the color I want to talk about right now is color I've had a very lovely relationship with. It's the color yellow. And from my evolution, from my reserved stage to as I'm looking bubbly, I think black, white have always been there. They've been the outlining colors, but yellow is the kind of color that has helped me see that there can be so much brightness, but there's also many shades of yellows for each shade of what I'm feeling, whether it's happy or sad. So in her poem, a line really stood out to me. Blue deserves its own rainbow. I think yellow deserves its own rainbow because the brightest yellow can show the happiest situations, and the saddest yellow or the lightest tint of yellow can show your it. It can signify the glow you have even if you're going through a tough situation. When you're walking in a crowd, you have a glow about you, which I think yellow is very down to earth.
Thank you. So I think
One common theme amongst most of the responses was that your favorite color is what you made of it. And perception is a very important part of that, which is why I think when I talk about the color that is the central theme for my work, I would have to say brown. And I know what you're thinking. It's a bit interesting to see what a color like brown is perceived. Brown is the color of mud in the potholes in Bangalore roads. But brown is also the color of soil, the color of new beginnings, the color of home, of earth, of warmth. My mom will find this very ironic because I used to make so much fun of her because brown was her favorite color. But I think the more that I'm growing, the more that I'm becoming like her, which I'm grateful for. the more that I'm realizing that brown contains molecules.
Brown, like most other things in life, is what you make of it. It's how you perceive it. Because I love chocolate, and I think it just brings you a good amount of warmth and comfort.
Now I get why that's wrong.
Coincidentally, the color I was also going to be talking about is brown. But my inclination towards brown is slightly different from Sanjana's. Like Sampurna said, I have a love-hate relationship. I used to have a love-hate relationship with brown. More than anything, more than the soil, like Sanjana said, more than chocolate as well. I think of brown mainly when I think of the color of my skin. And as a lot of us have faced, as like growing up, there's been a lot of not so positive things said about the color of our skin, and mine being a slightly darker shade of brown compared to like my friends when I was younger. It formed a lot of thoughts in my head when I was young, saying this is probably not the color that I want my skin to be. I'd like a lighter brown. But growing, like as I've grown older, I realized that my brown is also just as beautiful or just as clean as a brown that I would have thought was better when I was younger. So I think my liking towards brown has also changed, and now it is one of my favorite colors.
Very nice. Two browns, two different perceptions. That's how, Sampurna said, every color looks different for me. That's what we are trying to say. Go ahead.
So throughout my life, I've always been like a few colors that have just been close to me for different reasons. So like, one of them is the maroon of interest because my house as school has always like been family, and I've always enjoyed things I've done in the house. There is also orange. I'm not really sure why orange became like what it was my favorite color for a really long time, and it was just like a bit of energy. I feel orange has a lot of energy to it, and that made me really enjoy it because I'm a really energetic person usually. There's also black, which is a neutral color. There's black and white, they're both neutral colors, but I prefer black because it helps show other things more than itself. It provides a contrast to put focus on other things. So it's a dull and dark color. But the color I want to talk about right now is a green, like a slightly darker green, but not olive. It's because green gives the freshness, it gives a bit of joy and happiness. While also because it's dark, it also has that power and strength that I feel that everyone should have. So freshness as well as power together is a really good combination. Yeah, wonderful insights into colors. I think, thank you for the question. It is more than what you think about the color, what you feel and what you express that matters. Okay. Now, Arsha, I had a question. Who is it who wanted to say something?
I just wanted to say to you who spoke about skin color, I think this is something a lot of, especially South Indian girls, we face this controversy a lot. I remember when I was younger and I had gone to a close relative's house, I was very proud because I think I achieved something or had won something at school, and I thought, maybe she'd ask me about that, maybe I'd get encouragement. But the first thing she said was, why have you become darker? Why is your skin like this? What are you doing to treat it? My grandma, who's 80 years old, still buys into that fair and lovely fad that maybe one thing on some lighter. But I want to tell you something. It really doesn't matter because the skin you have, it's really representative of your culture, of your history, where you come from. It's really something to be proud of. Nobody should be able to tell you otherwise, and I'm so glad you brought it up because it's really a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I think the discussion is going on really very nice, very interesting. But I'm not sure all of you are enjoying it so much because I see quite a few of you are engaged in difficulty talking to the next person, So we'll give you attention without doubt. So all of you stand up. All the pair jumps stand up. Okay. Now switch both your hands to the sky. Pull yourself up. Only that much? I thought somebody will touch the dome. Okay, put your hands down. Do it again. Good. Put the hands down. Just shake your right leg. Yes, some of you are doing right. Some of you are not shaking, you are only moving. Yes. As fast as possible. Okay, now the left leg. Now somebody did both of you. Okay, fine. You want to stand or you want to sit down? Okay, okay, I understand you want to stand, but that look awkward, we can't be comfortable. So please be seated. I said seated, not up. Please listen to them. They are coming out with gems. I find it so interesting. It should be more interesting for all of you. Because not only these 8 are budding writers, all of you are. Okay? So listen to them. Get points for you. If she is talking about yellow, what is your color? What would you like to say? Listen to them and see about your color. Okay? That's how you learn. We go to the next round. Maybe one of the awardees can talk about anything they like. Would you like to ask them any question? Yes.
Yeah, so I'm thoroughly enjoying the discussion and all the insights from this year's candidates, which is why I wanted to start another discussion with the budding writers around me, because that's what I enjoy about this panel discussion so much. So I actually came across a quote recently that says, "How vain is it to sit to write when you have not stood up to live?" Okay. How vain is it to sit to write when you have not stood up to live? This is the quote I came across. And I just wanted to hear from the panelists about your views on this quote. And in your opinion, how important are your life experiences in terms of influencing your life here? And how have your personal experiences influenced your pieces so far, is what I wanted to hear from the participants.
Will not follow any order. This one can be done.
So after reading up that quote, I'm analyzing it not just as a writer, but also someone who reads stuff that other people write and taking it into my work. So when I look forward to reading something, I look forward to not just reading about the big picture, about very heavy words like life and experience. I want to know even the smaller, finer details. Even even if the author is writing about a stray dog walking on the road, I would like to read that. So when you're talking about how vain it is to sit and write, I completely agree with it. But when you're talking about standing up and living, it's not just living a great life. It's not living a life-changing moment. It's not I am the leader. It's not that kind of thing. You can be someone who has been watching the world go by in the sidelines, and you can be someone who is just sitting in the middle of the crowd and you are just being. But I would like to know about your experiences, even in the small second that I am answering this question. What is going through your mind? So I completely relate to the quote, and that's what I like to put into my writing. I like to express myself very fully. I like to talk about how I met a small girl the other day and what changes she made in me, what I saw me in her. So At the end of the day, standing and living life is not just about bringing a change to the world, it's about just observation. So, writing is very much about observing. That is what I can say.
Yeah, so, she just said that she'd like to know more about the dog walking by. I think Arushi would probably remember, when we conduct these workshops at school, at our office for students. The first thing I say is don't try to, especially for those who are just starting out. I mean, you all have been writing, so it probably does not apply to you. But when I say those of you who want to just start writing, the first thing I say is just look at the nearest thing you can see. Probably a leaf that is, fluttering around because of the wind, or a row of ants walking around, and you can write pages and pages about that. So, it's not always the big life experiences. Even small things can give you enough to write about, can evoke a lot of emotions, and that can translate into beautiful words.
Thank you, ma'am. I definitely agree with you that the finer details sometimes make up the last touch of the story. Personally, I think I saw the quote that Pratisha shared slightly differently. I think a lot of us have spoken how writing to us is a medium of expression, a way for us to express our emotions. I think personally, I write more than I live in some situations. I write so much about the words that I wish I had said, the actions that I wish I had taken. I think in some way it's my form of rewriting reality itself, living a life that I could have, I know I could have, by, putting down words on paper. So I think, like Santrupti said, from the perspective of the reader as well, when you read, you are transported to a different world. You suddenly live the life of a person you've never known before. And you are suddenly mourning the loss of a person you have never loved. So it's very interesting to see that perspective, to think that writing and living are two separate entities, and that to do one, you cannot do the other, that they are mutually exclusive in some way. But I personally beg to differ. To me, to write is to live, and to live is to write. I don't think I can separate them.
Yeah, Sanjana lives to write and she writes to live. I'm sure every one of you have one of these kind of things. Okay? The worst thing would be somebody to say, I live to eat and I live to live. Okay? Please don't go to that, everything else may be okay. Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to repeat the quote once more. How vain is it to sit to write when you have not stood up to live?
So I think there is meaning to it, but again, it's an opinionated kind of discussion. So if a person sits and writes something without the knowledge of a word, they'll only write what they think. They don't know what, they'll only learn from, a book, or only use words that are coming from a book. But when you stand up and you live and you try to understand the meaning of life, that's where true words from inside of you comes out, which is the most meaningful part of a writer.
Okay, I need to give the metro.
So once we were driving across the metro construction site, and I saw a worker sitting on a brick, and he was humming his fingers over a metal rod as if it were a flute. And I remember going home and writing about that small thing I saw that day. And to me, I think writing is about preserving my emotions and reliving it when I read it again. So yeah, that's just.
Yeah, when you say preserving emotions, are you talking about having the capacity to feel and have emotions, or to stick to one particular kind of emotion.
I think I just mean that I want to feel what I felt then because it's something that inspired me or made me feel whole.
Okay, thank you.
So, even what you said, that you just sit and write and stand and live, but like, I feel like writing can be done in a living also, you don't have to be standing up, right? That's just like how most people do it, but everyone as well, you can live without standing up, sitting down and serving as Samuna said. And yeah, like, as Samuna said that, yeah, you can observe and not write. But one more thing that I feel is really important is, especially when you're trying to write something for other people to read, is for it being something that other people can feel like it could happen to them as well. And it could be just like simple, small things in life that really make you happy. To be like, saying good morning to a friend, or eating your favorite food, or just listening to your favorite song on the radio. Just suddenly comes up and or a day there was nothing special about it, suddenly it makes you happy. These small things as well, which almost anyone can feel because it's something that happens to all of us, and that people also feel like, yeah, what I'm reading, it could be me, and they feel on the writing.
Yeah, the word experience a lot packed in it. What kind of experience? Is it your experience? Is it somebody else's experience? What do you make out of it? There are so many things. Okay, so who is going next? You next.
I think that this quote is something that my younger self would resonate with. Me right now, not so much. Because when I was younger, like I mentioned previously, I feel like a lot of my work was superficial. It was writing about things I wish I experienced, or I would write it as if I did, but it wasn't what I really did. And as I grew older, as I am growing, the experiences that I live through, the feelings that I feel, they all give me the courage to live. And the more I have lived, the more I realize that my writing is not so much a reflection of who I am, but it's a reflection of some of what is inside my heart and my mind. And it's something that is a part of me that I wouldn't ever show through like my physical self, and it's something that I wouldn't speak out, but it's something that just automatically comes when I pick up a pen or when I start typing.
Okay.
Uh, I think that Anthony said, it's something, I think is a way to basically put down the side of yourself that you have never seen yourself. So, I myself didn't resonate with Tamil as much as I do right now because I think it's very good to basically get out of the real life, have fun, and actually make something good out of it, make something
the sense that a lot of writing is as much about reflection and introspection as it is about observing things. But personally, over the past few years, I made my life very small. I had very few things going on in it. I focused on very, very few things. And I saw a noticeable drop in the quality of my writing because a lot of it was starting to feel very claustrophobic because I was writing about the same things and I was getting way inside my head to a point which wasn't comfortable anymore. So while I don't think there's any vanity in sitting down to write before you stand up to live, because a lot of it is about your opinions, your biases, I do think it is important to see the world, experience things, because that enhances your writing, also gives you so many new perspectives you wouldn't think about otherwise. So I've been partially with even critical.
As a psychologist in the making, she used the word introspection. That has a lot to do with all the practice in writing. Now, would you like to ask something or should I go? Okay, I have a very simple curiosity about one particular aspect. You know, in wars, which I often quote, it is not that you are aware of your strength and you will win a war. You should be very clear about your weakness also. Also, your opponent's weakness as well as strength. Then only you can plan. Otherwise, defeat may be easy than success or winning a war. Here, writing, I think, is very close to being in the same situation. You've got a lot of things going on in your mind. You're fighting it. In that context, I would like to know whether you are aware of your shortcomings and also what you're doing about it. Okay? So, you know, I'm not very good at using appropriate words and you don't do anything about it. That's of no use. Once you know your weakness, what is your step to improve that? I would like to listen to all of you to speak first. Okay, you. Why did you love to sentence?
No, we were just discussing. So that's a very good question. But immediately when you asked it, I wanted to know, usually on a war, you have two sides. You have the side of the victor and the side of the loser. So I was thinking in a war where you're writing, right? When writing is the sole focus of the war, who would be the opponent, right? Who are you fighting exactly? And usually who you're fighting is within yourself. There are internal demons that you're fighting, internal battles you're fighting. I think personally for me, a big one is procrastination. Delaying what I could do today to tomorrow. And my mother often says, in that way, you're punishing your future self. And that's a very interesting way to put it, because it's easier to have empathy for a version of yourself than it is to have for some abstract concept. So I think definitely being able to sit and do whatever I need to do for 2 minutes gives me the motivation to continue what I'm supposed to do. And the habit of procrastination is one I'm slowly trying to break. And another one is, it's a bit embarrassing to admit, but sometimes when I'm put on the spot and I have a time limit given, I become very verbose. I tend to over-explain what I'm feeling, which again, I'm trying to admit, and I hope I'm getting better.
I think the fact that you stopped down is the beginning of that.
Also, I can see that your mom is a big, and it looks like your parents are very involved parents. Yeah.
So it was a very interesting word you picked for shortcomings. I don't see any of my any of the mistakes I make or any of the things I put away to do later in my life, I don't look at them as shortcomings. So in that aspect, it's a little unique to think about it this way. I'm at war with myself. As opposed to saying that the opponent is myself, I would say the opponent is the multiple different experiences that people are having in their lives. Because I have been blessed with the ability to express my experiences. I have been blessed with the ability to use words in the appropriate ways. And the only shortcoming I think I have is to not be able to express other people's experiences with my words. That is a challenge that I give myself. I can express what I feel, I can say what I want to, but can I say what others want so we can also resonate with it at a very, very personal level? And that is something that I would really like to work on. I would like to, for the lack of another way of putting it, read people, and I would like to, define my ability to express what they feel. That is my, I'm at war with other people's experiences versus my own experiences.
I think the day you know very precisely what is your shortcoming, from that day you start improving upon it. Also, since you have identified and you express your shortcomings in a few words, I think the solution should not be very far, because in the medical field there is a practice. Anything you can identify, you will solve it. So far you have not identified the problem, you cannot solve it. Okay? The same way, if you have identified your shortcomings, that's the day you will start working on it. Good. Welcome. Who is next?
So I think when you said the word bored, just immediately I was thinking that like writing is the best possible result of the war that one is facing within themselves. I can say that personally for myself. And when I think of like shortcomings, ironically, my shortcoming is also the one thing that inspires me to write, which is my emotions. When I am feeling something that's extremely harsh or something that's my mind is usually just a jumble of like a huge spider web of emotions. And when I try to translate that into my writing, oftentimes I feel that that's just the projection of the word that's going on. It's just a bunch of words that might make sense, but in reality, when I read it after the word is settled slightly, like when it's more settled, it's almost like I'm searching for the spider that I created the web because it doesn't make sense to me. So how I'm trying to tackle that shortcoming is I try to be more mindful about the emotions that I face through like talking to people about it. Like the school counselors that actually like mentioned, they're one of my like greatest friends right now. And yeah, just talking to people and reflecting on your own emotions to other people really helps to clear that mess.
Thank you.
My name is Srinivasan, and there's very brilliant style happening, something that doesn't make sense. Feelings come out at one time, and you think about it in that time. You write what you feel. That's the perfect time. So yeah, this is good, but I think my best for comedy, and I think that's the way that I'm not so that I'm full, I cannot write. I guess that's my weakness.
Yeah, there is a difference between finding shortage of time and what is procrastination. There is so many things that you don't spend enough time. Then you have to do some time management. But most important thing is, if I can do tomorrow, what I can do today. This attitude is attitudinous. You have to change your attitude. I'm sure you know it. Your mind says that your head says, but your mind says, why not tomorrow? You have to find that God out. Yeah, next.
So I think a lot of times when people as bothered with oneself are not prepared. So
Well, it's a very impulsive reaction for me to break down in such situations. So I think that's why writing plays such a huge role in my life. So when I write what I am feeling, it helps me identify what caused in my weakness as to why I reacted so impulsively.
Okay.
So Sandra said fascination. That is something that does affect me with like. It's always I don't feel like starting the thing, but once I started, then I can go on for hours and finish what I'm doing. Like I get really motivated to actually finish what I started. Another thing is, yeah, like when you're under a time limit. So for example, when we had the URA second round, we had given 3 questions and we had a whole day to finish it. And the first question, what I wrote, I was really proud of because that was at the start. I had all the time, and I just could keep on writing. But in the second and third, I realized that I have this much time again, so I need to be concise and get it done. So there, it wasn't like the full extent of my creativity because as well, I just spent the past few hours working on the first question. I it's past an hour or so. And so as I near the end, I realized that I had lesser time. I was trying to finish it quickly, and I feel like the work wasn't the best it could have been, but I was still really proud of it at the end. And also another thing is emotions. Like there was a time when I was almost like scared of my emotions. I would try to listen to them, and like at that time I did not write it down. That wasn't something I even thought I could try to do. And slowly over time, as I thought about it more, and then I became more comfortable with my emotions. I could write about my emotions when I felt like, and if there was something that I wanted to write about, I could show my emotions to it, and I started writing work based on that.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
Thank you.
Like Yana said, she makes her best pieces when she's hungry. I think I can make my best pieces when I have a lot going on my mind. I can jot some things down so that my mind is less heavier and it's a bit lighter for me to get done with work. So, but at the same time, I think I mostly face a writer's block when I have a lot going on my mind. So I'm basically fighting my own self at this point. But I think that's something I can overcome come with practice and then writing in general, which will help me um, understand where I'm lacking and work on that, basically.
So sometimes I'm at war with my own mind. There's cases where I go through mental blocks where I really don't know all thoughts and ideas are being cluttered up in my head and I have no clear idea of what I'm actually doing in life. And you know, I did not find any of my rights, pieces or writing appealing to me, unique or original. And I write, you know, a few chapters of the story and then I stop because I'm not happy with it. So the only way I think I will be able to get over that writing is learning a new skill or a hobby. Because then I'm learning something new and I'm able to look at something from a different perspective. And ultimately I'm able to get new inspiration for my story. And I'm able to conclude and finally get an end product I'm happy with.
Okay. Now, this is not about digging into yourself. Lot of things.
I was thinking about this on the way over here, and it's just a question if I can put it across to the panel. You spoke about having a wall with yourself, and I think a wall that I've had with myself, especially my writing and the purpose of my writing, it's a pretty long-standing wall. I started writing when I was very young. I started writing because I was trying to, like a lot of you guys mentioned, right, trying to figure out what was going on in my head. And then as I grew up, I sort of harnessed that, it picked borrow your word. And I think I started writing because I wanted other people to be able to read it. And now I'm at a stage in my life where I feel like if I write, there should be a strong purpose to it. And my question is something that I've thought about a lot is because I have been blessed with the ability to write and I've been um, harnessing and pursuing, writing in general. Do you think that it is important at some point as a writer to be able to write something that will change the world, in the sense that you write for something beyond yourself. You write it because you want other people to change because of it, derive something bigger from it than what you started out with? Or do you think it's okay to be a writer who maybe for all of your writing career have written things that help maybe just you? So that is my question.
Okay. Now, I know many of you would have published or maybe working towards that. It would be a wonderful experience to learn from others what they went through. Because every time you don't need to go through that to learn what it is. Okay? Now, I think many of you in the audience also have published. But I think Mera brought out a book very fast, it's short and sweet book. I'd like her to share with us with experience. Now, that will be helpful to others. They want to publish.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So, yeah, I published a book. It's called Be. And yeah, I just wanted to mention one of the stories is that it actually came from this panel discussion. Last year, Adrian sir had asked me one question. I really like that question. Like, if you could write a story and you didn't have to go through the process of editing and all of that, what would it be? So, yeah, I found that question very inspiring, and I wrote a story about it, and I think that's my most favorite story that I can take now within all that what I'm reading. So, yeah, I think publishing a book, it's a very fun experience. I've had stories that I've written along the way, and, picking them out and just going through them, you feel what you felt when you were writing. Yeah, I really wanted to mention that. So I think like if you have a such a story, like go ahead and publish it. You don't need to be like the best really. So yeah, I think the process is very fun and yeah, I did this mainly for my portfolio. Yeah, because I'm getting into design and my book had a lot of stuff that related to design. So which I would have wanted to design like the people who look at my portfolio. So yeah, you publish a book for your own reasons, but yeah, I think it is a process you should definitely try, even if you don't have a lot of it. My book is a very small one, but I think all of the stories they have like a very significant meaning to me. So yeah, like if any of you have to, please go ahead and publish.
Okay. I think we come to the last round. And I'd like to sentence the ma'am to
This poem has a very special place in my heart because it was a source of inspiration for me to get through difficult challenges and situations. The poem states, falling bricks in my mind, clustered together, seem to bind, heavy landing, unstable ground, yet I can't hear a single sound. Rolling away, out of reach, the borders of my mind finally reach, straight to my heart, like an arrow, but still as quiet as the steps of a stairway. Pressure crushing, pressing it down. My heart struggles not to drown, but through the darkness of the murky sea, shining glimmers of hope come through. Breathing, focusing, rising chest, leaving behind all the rest. Vases crack, bricks start to crumble, steady breathing despite the rumble. Light thoughts, strong heart, rhythmic breath, flowing seconds apart. Closed eyes, flutter open. A bright new world is just a moment.
My piece is not so much a story, it's an answer to the question. So the question was, do you think that a writer is someone who only feels emotions strong? I writer was someone who only felt emotions strong. Not only would it be horribly unfair, but also severely unfair. Different intensities of emotions produce different types of art, and simply because a piece of art was inspired by a single emotion, it doesn't make it any less valid or beautiful. As someone who feels emotions very strong, I recognize that if my emotions were sometimes not as complex, I might be able to produce work that is perhaps much more effective in certain situations. The type of work that I write right now is usually a direct projection of my emotions and are often not light-hearted. My work has never been light and simple, much to my childhood times. So if my younger writing self saw my current work, I doubt she'd be very surprised. I would warn her, however, that her emotions are only going to get more complex, more intense, and more all-consuming as she grows older. And although this has its faults, she would be pleased to know that as her emotions grow deeper, her work becomes significantly more truthful. Her future experiences are going to shape who she is and what she does. She will find that sometimes just a creative mind and empathy aren't enough, but true, unadulterated emotions often are.
So the piece about is again from the regard second hour. There is a question about how emotions are created in your writing and sending a letter to your younger self about your thoughts on this. So I decided to send it in the form of an email because I felt like if you were to send something back to the past, it'd be a bit in the future, and I don't think we'll be sending letters to them. So I started on what experience was going to, as I talked earlier, that I was always scared of my emotions, so I couldn't really tell you. And maybe I wanted my younger self to go through that experience instead of being told by me about how to get through all of this and how to become closer with your emotions. And I'm going to read the ending of the email now. I don't have much else to say. I do not think you can reply to this email. I want you to experience time with your emotions. I'm sure you will have a lot of questions, but I cannot answer them. You will learn these answers on your own with your own time. You may not like all your answers, but always remember, I believe in you. I know you can do it. Because I did it. We can do it. Yours truly, Dara.
Not too many questions for all of you, but I'd like to ask you first. Why do you think that when you express yourself and what you doubt what you are thinking, why do you think words are important? Thank you.
So there could be many ways to express your feeling. You could express through art and drawing, you can express through song. But I think words are the simplest and easiest way to understand because, like, as we were talking about colors, everyone has their own perception. Same way in art and song, people can have their own perception about how they feel about it because of their own personal experiences. With words, most of the time, because every word has its own meaning, and you can string them the way you want them to form sentences you want to express what you're feeling. And that, I think, is one of the easiest ways for other people to understand what you're feeling instead of others slightly more abstract ways.
I'm talking about, I have an exercise which will give time for you to read and you'll get on to the next round. I want each one of you to create at least one word. Not so for example, we talk of short-term goals, short-term things. We don't have a short-term, we don't have a long-term. Can you create a word like that? maybe because of the context or because of the necessity. Think of a word which we can match.
Okay. Which author has a and how?
So one of my favorite authors is Jyotika Rajankar. She has a way of empathizing with different characters in a way that I will never understand because her work is mostly historical fiction, and the way she can get into every character's mind and describe their maybe childhood memories as if on her own is something that really inspires me.
A book or a movie?
Always a book, 100%. I think Arav was speaking a few minutes ago about how words should always be prioritized over art or other forms of expression because arts and images are subjective. They can be interpreted in different ways by different people. And I found that very ironic because usually objectivity is not the word used to describe words, right? Words are some of the most subjective form of communication that you have. But at the same time, I completely understand. And books, I think I will always prefer because they are one book of them. The same sentence in a book, the sky was blue, can be interpreted in so many different ways, depending on the context, depending on your mood as a reader, depending on how it's characterized in the book, within the book. Why is the sky blue? Is the sky normally big? Is this a deviation from the normal? There's so many things to appreciate within a book that you cannot ever truly get in a movie because you are seeing it from the perspective of a different person. You're seeing it through the lens of a filmmaker. You're seeing it through the lens of a directorial, audio visuals, like lighting, setup. But when you read a book, what you create in your head is completely your book.
Yeah,
Sorry, books have been names. Yeah, a book that you thought that anything you would like to change. A book whose anything you would like to change. Um, the one emotion that you would be embarrassed to write about.
One of the emotions that I would be embarrassed to write or frankly talk about is affection. Affection. It is because I have so many people around me who are very loving and they like, I'm not a very big kind of person to touch. I like my own space. And it kind of, affection kind of makes me feel like someone is prioritizing me over things that are supposed to be prioritized. It is not a complex that I am this. It is a complex that they come to talk about affection. I need a minute to think about it.
Have you traveled a lot? Yeah. So apart from travel and the experiences that you gained since then, what do you think has influenced the way you write or express? My answer would definitely be the people around me. So, my teachers, my English teachers who they definitely influenced me in terms of,
and what kind of words, vocabulary, books I read, which gave me ideas and inspiration and influenced my loved ones. They definitely influenced me as well. And
while traveling does play a big influencing, I think there are other political factors which.
So in most of the books, I think actually most of the books everybody reads, the ending is always happy, or the main character is always, good days and they're like happy with ever after. Sometimes I wish that even in the sad endings, there's a little glimpse of happiness shown that after this he or she's gonna do this for the rest of their life as a punishment for whatever wrong they have done. Usually, when a main character does something wrong, it's forgotten, forgiven, because it's the main character, and happily never after has no coming. But a bit of punishment or like justice for the reality of this would have been nice.
So I think that is something one always needs, that the main character is always the other characters sort of have to live out. Yeah, so maybe this could be a start on different endings. Yeah. For you, I see that a lot of your thought processes keep going back to comparing yourself to now. What would you tell yourself of, say, 6 years or 10 years from now? What would be the one thing you would tell Anjali of 10 years later? I think more than anything, more than tell her anything, I would ask her if we're the same. Because right now, for the past 3 years, and I feel like I've been the same person. I feel like I'm in a stable place right now, and my personality, my writing, most aspects of my life they seem like it's more stable so far. I know that realistically I might not be the same but 10 years from now. But at least writing wise, I like to ask her what inspires you now? Is it the same? And do I inspire you? Do I write now? Do my younger self, does she inspire you? Do our parents inspire you the same way that they do me right now? All of that. I would ask her more questions than I can now. There's something in your writing today that you think 10 years later, you would say that that one thing that I wrote influenced who I am. Absolutely, yeah. I feel like a lot of my writing right now is about the things that I'm going through in the present. And when she looks back at her previous works, like I do in my previous works, she'll probably be happy at how far she's gotten, not only in writing but also in life. And I mean, that's the best case scenario. But yeah, one can hope. So can you identify one particular, I mean, I think last year I read about depth of net, and that featured some of my works. Those were like one of my best works, and the way I written about depth at the time. I think as I grew older, it's not so much projecting how bad it is, but more on how real it is and how it's inevitable and how at some point in time I have to see myself in and it can be useful.
ಸರಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತೆ 4 ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ
I thought about the question a lot, and I generally think it's the developments around me. First of all, I think the small details in life, like I always mentioned, the rapid spurts of ideas, those are the things which inspire me till date. And I think as I grow up, I become more accurate and more relatable to the things which have been going on in my mind. So I think it's really the developments around me.
Now, one second. Okay, now this is the bonus round. decision because we have already decided. Essentially, I have left our panel results come out. Now to your words. What word you find? Agree. First, tell the word, then study it. Because the new word you cannot understand.
So when you first did the question, my first thought was that that could very well be a word for something that I want, but it's just that it's not very common, and maybe none of us have heard of it, and it may not be used anymore. So the word I thought of was Pinelli, P-I-N-I-L-L-Y, and I thought that would be a word for small giants, and like my thought process in doing that was like, um, as we get older, the smaller things in life we don't always feel like very happy about it. It's just something that's there and it's going to keep happening. But for younger kids, it could be a really big thing, but it's a very small thing that happens would be something that takes their day. And I thought that a toddler's next feeling idea could be something like this. That words have sometimes very weird origins. Yeah.
Okay. Move to Archie. We're not talking about it. Okay. Time?
It was a random word. I'd say DIPETANCE. So I think everyone at this point in their life has experienced this, that when you walk into a room, you forget what you came to do, or basically what you went into doing. It happens with me like all the time, usually during class. I don't feel just forget what was all this about. So yeah.
Okay.
So rather than making a random, not random, but rather than creating a very coherent syllable, I created the word unstruct. So I believe that writing, a lot of people believe that writing is about creating a new word, creating ways to express yourself. I agree with that, but I also think it's about taking the big picture and breaking it down into smaller pieces. But I am not satisfied with the opposite of the word create, destruct. So I believe that the word unravel covers a better topic this way. So I went with unstruct, which is to be very constructive about how you destruct things.
Okay. These are this. You can use the word dismantle. Dismantle is not destruction.
So
You are working around that.
the reason I didn't want to use the word dismantle was because you're taking a big thing and you're taking out its parts. I don't want to be moving each part from its own. I'm sort of isolating.
Got it. I got your idea.
So this is a bit of a niche topic, but I think most writers or most creatives will be able to identify with it. One of the most important parts of writing is having an idea, having inspiration to strike you. So the word that I created was inspiration. Uh, the moment when you have an idea, but either you don't have the means to write it down, means to develop it, so it slips through your fingers. It's one of the most frustrating parts of being writer, being a creative, but it is something that I'm longing for a word for. My word is nice. There are few words that are not in the dictionary because they have every person has a different. And a dictionary cannot put a fixed meaning on that because people's opinions are valid. So for me, nice hero would be of course my parents. They have given me a meaning of life and life. So yeah, and I also wanted to address the question Rajita asked. So if you were a writer,
Would you write something that would reach the world? Yes, I believe, of course. In fact, I believe that anybody who is a writer comes down with the motive of changing the world. And if you succeed, if you kind of not, but yeah.
You don't get a word like I don't have a word yet. Either you can create or you can find.
So mine is just very simple, but it's something that I try to like use the stories that I've written but I haven't thought of words. So anticipation, which is sort of like anticipation of the things that are bad. So if I'm writing like I found that I needed a word that I'm writing a story where someone is like he knows that something's gonna happen, but he's not anticipating it. He's not quite looking forward, but he knows something bad is gonna happen. So anticipation.
So if I had to explain my work, I would say my brain in terms of its functioning, and then included and started working all over again.
So the word I think is coherent, that's this coincidence. So when a coincidence happens, let's say two people meet each other um, by coincidence, they don't realize that everything around them is connected. So even the road, the place that they can, even a leaf on the ground, the dog passing by them, everything is connected. And the stars have kind of aligned, united, so that it kind of builds up to that coincidence. So I think the word coincidence.
Okay, now one more question. All of you write your word that is on a piece of paper and give it. Along with the papers you write each word. Okay. Now, let me formal vote of thanks. I'm really very grateful to Mr. Santrupti ma'am for having contributed so lovely to this. Okay. So we have bothered you and got in here. Now, till we get the result, I like any of the awardees to come out anything that you want to share with us as observations or your own thought process. Want to share anything with us?
I was actually just thinking about the question that you just asked. I remember when I was on this panel, and every since that I've been able to come here, I just, when you ask any of these very interesting questions, I find myself thinking about them and trying to come up with answers is always challenging as ever. But I just wanted to share. I think a lot of people here today spoke about inspiration, and inspiration being the driving force behind writing in general, not just for, I'm sure, you guys, but every one of you and anyone in the world who really writes or who makes art. And I was thinking about a word which I think sometimes in life things happen that inspire you that you are completely unprepared for. There is no foreshadowing that a big change or a big inspiration is about to strike, but it does and it changes your life. And I think I was just thinking about a word for something like that, and I just came up with reboot, which is like a reboot of your life, but it is done randomly, it is done completely on the range, and it changes your life as you know it. So I just wanted to say that. Sorry, I just before I take mic, I also want to say that one of the panelists today, sorry, winners mentioned that every year they come to the panel and they find that the caliber of the students, their writing has changed, improved, and I just want to say I agree with that 100%. I was here a couple of years ago, and I can tell you for sure that you guys are able to speak better than I did, and I'm sure, I know that you guys are also able to write things that I'm completely blown away by, and I know that you guys have been great writers and not just so
what you write, where you write, and what you go. So, thank you. I just wanted to share my opinion on Anshika's question that she posed earlier about writing for change or writing to bring about change. And I believe that as a writer, primarily you need to be authentic. You need to ensure you're writing for yourself. And in the process of thinking about writing to bring about change, to inspire someone else, there is potential to use your authenticity to get influenced by people around you. And that is why you're first writing something. Don't worry about who is going to apply, who is going to be reading this, how are they going to perceive it. Write for yourself and let it flow, let the thoughts come out. And if it is authentic, I guarantee that it will influence someone in their life. And it might influence you, and even if it's just you that is influencing, that's more than enough. So I don't think you should be worried about who is going to be reading your writing, which is something of the participants mentioned. But I don't think that is something to worry about as a writer. Don't worry about who you're writing for. You're writing for yourself. You're writing to express yourself. If you're authentic, it will definitely bring about a change in someone's life. I'm sorry. I totally agree with what he says. That I think writing is a very, very personal experience. We first write for ourselves, and at some point, when we are comfortable with what we have written, is when we start letting other people read. So I'm sure there are a lot of people in the audience here who write but don't show your writing to anyone. Yeah, so I think it's fine because there's always a lot of pressure on people to share what they write with others. Yeah. So I think if you're writing, writing is one thing that you will leave at every stage of your life, and some good writing comes through the ability to be able to speak well in public, or the ability to be able to, put your ideas across. So writing is one thing that has a structure, that develops, that inculcates structure in you, that defines the ability to put your thoughts in order. So I think when you start writing, don't worry about whether it's going to change anybody, or it's going to influence anybody, inspire anybody. First write for yourself, and when you're comfortable about writing and what you will do, then you will very organically start to write it. Yeah? And at that time, when you start sharing it with other people, is when it will in some way influence somebody or the other. So just adding to what she said.
I actually wanted to address the question Shahid asked. Very interesting question. And then also mix it with what I would tell my younger self. I think for a long time, a lot of us, especially like for the younger audience, you would be thinking that maybe I don't have enough experiences at this point. I know I have this point. Or maybe my emotions won't be as mature as my mom and dad's emotions because they've been much longer than me, or my grandma's emotions. How can I write a character like that? How can I express it in my way? What I realized though is everyone's eyes are their own lens. Everyone sees things through a different perspective. When I write as a younger child, it is my most authentic self-writing at that point in time. I'm writing from the eyes of a child. I'll never be a child again. I'll never be able to say, I'm sitting in this position, writing a story at this age again. It's a special time, even if we don't have as many experiences. That's going to keep you always remembering that no matter how many experiences you have, you are writing now and you're writing with your heart. That's all that matters.
Mine is slightly different. I just wanted to thank everyone in school for inviting me, even though I'm no longer a part of the school, because I think URA and the school support my writing is one of the many things that's gotten me to wherever I've gotten today. Like, for instance, in 12th grade, I write so many college essays, academic essays, or personal essays, and I think URA gave me like the confidence to have, like, to make it feel like my words actually mattered. I think that like giving something around like the tax and fintechs, it's taught me so much on the editing process, which is just as as the initial creative process. So I just wanted to thank everyone at the school. Yeah, I think I want to address the question and thank that question. And what I think is that I think that your writing has to serve like a really big purpose. But I mean, at least for my writing, I have cases that talk about like when you're walking through a street, like the various many cars are beginning at the low parking side in front of you, or the street lights are gossiping each other, looking over all the happenings on the street. So, now maybe the next time you walk through a street, you would look at the world differently, right? So you would see things a little bit more playful. So I think even if it doesn't serve a big purpose, maybe just peeking the way you see the world. So you can bring that to your writing. Just showing your perspective of the world, sharing that, I think that's a really important part of writing. Yeah, I think that's why I am.
So the results are compiled. About what next step? Now we know the results because we don't need to announce all. We announce only the winner. Oh, you'll announce it. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you everyone for such a wonderful discussion. I mean, it's quite inviting, like so many insightful thoughts I can share with our participants and editors. Great respect and learn up from attention. So a writer that transports you to the world of his own imagination using his unique signature pen. So the beautiful thing about learning is that no one can take it away from you. Let's think about books, pens. There are most wonderful remedies. One child, one teacher, one monk, and one pen can change the entire world. As Santrupti Rajankar rightly said, a small thing can evoke a lot of emotions and make you write about it at the head. Right? So express yourself, express your emotions. Don't shy away from sharing your thoughts. So now, to results, I request Dr. M. Srinivasan to announce the winner and share his thoughts and valuable feedback on the work.
Yeah, it's the most interesting thing. Not to announce, but be a look. Okay, now we have 8 contestants. I could announce all the visitors. In case all the 8 visitors, all of the audience visitors, still we need to recognize one person to be the best out of it. So you learn a bit more. Okay? And also those who are not doing that first place, don't disappoint them. Everywhere in life you will have somebody standing by, somebody standing second, we cannot be anywhere there, it doesn't matter. But I'm extremely happy with both your discussions and Ram's contribution. So I think we had a good day, one of the most important days of our school. Now we come to the results. Anybody in the audience would like to stand up, but the result is not going to change. Anybody would like to stand up in the audience and say, who do you think is the winner? Okay, go ahead. That's all. Come out, yes. Hey. I didn't get the name. Next one is wait for support now. Wonderful, wonderful. Mr. Paul, with your hand to one girl. Yes, in Krishna house, first floor, the girl. Okay. That is what we got for searching. One says Sampurna, another says Sanjana, and if I give chance, all the 8 names will come out. We will not go there because we don't need to do that. Please put your hands down. You get the hands left on. After I announce, I'd like to request the winner to speak a few words before we get certificates. And this winner of all the competitions this year throughout will have a substantial reward. And we want to take care of the endeavor of reading, writing, white books and things like that. So we want to do that to some extent. Okay? Now coming to the winner. Definitely out of the two, one is a winner. And I also would like to say the difference is not so much. I just saw the points. It is less than one to a large extent. So to that extent, I'm extremely happy that all of them are saying almost the same boat. But we always have to have a leader or a winner to help us bring the two better, and that is Sanjana. So, participants there will delegate man. Are you making that? That we can, but before that, I just like, Sanjana.
Namaste. One and all come here. Namaste. One and all come here for the second time. Despite my love for words, I don't seem to be able to find the right words to congratulate every single one of you for being here in this environment. Because undoubtedly, like I said, that has shaped me to who I am today, that has brought me to this podium today. Thank you so much to hear my second home, to my parents, for my teachers, and to Sangeeta ma'am specifically, who came to me before the panel and told me, Sanjana, this year you're winning 100%. I really appreciate your confidence in me. And I appreciate every single one of you for being here. And I want to wish you good luck on the journey to come. Thank you.
journey has just begun as a writer. I wish you best of luck for your future endeavors and wish to see your name among the shining stars in the world of literature. There's a famous quote by Nelson Mandela: I never lose. I either learn or win. This is what I always believe in, because the takeaway of the day is not failure but a huge learning which you are going to use in your future. Thank you. Now, I request our second judge, Ms. Santrupti, to come on stage and address this audience. She's already here. Please address the audience and offer some of her valuable.
Thank you all for having me here. I think Sir has been very kind to have really considered, having me here. I'm not a great writer, but I think having come here, I'm so influenced by all of you here, and to know that so many people are great thing because, as somebody who's always day in and day out involved with words, our worry constantly is that people are not reading enough, people are not writing enough. And I think today I can put that thought away and, rest assured that yes, there are people who are still writing and reading and, taking that whole legacy forward. I'm really impressed by the standard of what I heard today. I know from some interactions with some of your students earlier that there is this culture in your school where you have free rein, you get to express yourself, you get to do what you want to do, and I think that's wonderful. To all of you there, I'd say make the best use of this opportunities that you get at school and keep writing. I've said quite a lot sitting there, so I won't repeat myself, but I think for everybody, if you just made up your mind and you said, I'd write even 100 words every day, you will realize that at some point, the way you express yourself, the way you perceive things around you will change, will gain form, gain structure. And it's not just for the younger ones. At any age, you can start doing that. As parents, as teachers, as people who, we are close to retiring and thinking it's too late to start. I don't think it's ever late to start writing. So keep up that. Start those of you who haven't, and those of you who are already doing it, keep it going, even if it is just for yourself. And a big good day to all of you for being such a lovely audience and
It has been such an honor to be a part of this wonderful variant and had such an enriching discussion. On behalf of the organization, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest, Ms. Santrupti Ma'am, our beloved chairman, Sir Dr. N. Srinivasan, Sabi Ma'am, our dear principal, Mrs. Nandan Bhatt, Vice Principals, Radha Lakshmi Ma'am, and Ivy Ma'am, thank you for guiding us. A wide round of applause and thanks to all the participants who made the event a memorable event. And to have much from so wonderful writers. Finally, I would like to thank all the finalists and previous year's winners for being part of this event. Thank you so much. And last but not least, thank you all for taking time to be with us today and helping us with this event at Rani. Thank you. May we now request you all to take up the position for national anthem.